Hey everybody, welcome. We're gonna go ahead and get started. If you guys wanna come in, grab a seat. My name is Nick Kisslinger and I am the Executive Director of Summit Impact. And first I just wanna thank Jody, the CEO of Summit, and the entire Summit team for making this possible, putting this together. Yeah, you can clap, it can be interactive. I want to thank the Summit Impact Board, our board chair, Jessica Jackley, and our incredible founding board chair, Jeff Rosenthal. Without them and without many of you, none of this would be possible. It wouldn't be possible to operate our labs where we support fellows on everything from criminal justice to climate change. And it wouldn't be possible to support when there's a humanitarian crisis in the world. I'm thinking about in 2021 when the US Army pulled out of Afghanistan. And because of many people in this room, we were able to evacuate 350 women, girls, and their families and resettle them all over the world. And just recently and thank you to everybody here. Many people in the room have got involved with that. And just recently, as hurricanes ravaged North Carolina, and long-term summiteer, Allie Watson, walks out of the governor's office, and the governor says, we've got enough food, we've got enough water, we just don't know where to send it. We need to reestablish emergency communications in this state. And so what did she do? She reached out to the Summit community. Nicole Patrice answered that call, and she connected Allie to SpaceX. And because of the generous donations to SpaceX, we were able to reestablish communications in that state. They were able to talk with the fire departments and the police stations and the schools. And that's just one example of how the Summit community can come together. You can come together by answering the call and sharing your time and your expertise, and yeah, of course, your financial contributions. Sharing those things, we can turn it into real world impact, which brings me here to Baja. I had the opportunity in May to come here to Baja, and I was so blown away by the local impact projects. I was blown away by the La Playa Community Center and the arts programs. And maybe some of you just an hour ago, you came to the art session where we talked with Ana Sofia Chi, this amazing artist, and the local team of the community center about the work they're doing with kids. And for 8 weeks, this artist worked with children and brought them out to the incredible estuary. Which brings me to our main stage conversation today, the San Jose del Cabo estuary. This could be an ecological paradise. It is in need of great support, and there's an incredible team here locally who's been working on that. Now, I've had the privilege of knowing Santiago Sanchez Navarro for a while, and his late and great brother, Pablo. And to me, they really epitomize, and the project here gets at the heart of the feeling of the Summit community. Maybe best encapsulated by this quote that I love from Robert Kennedy, where he says, "Some men see the world and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not." They could have said, oh yeah, what we need is another hotel, Hard Rock, and casino here, but they didn't. They got together with local groups, state leaders, international organizations, and they envisioned an incredible regenerative future. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And who better to host that conversation than someone who's been working for over 2 decades in this field. I met her 20 years ago when she was at Satori Capital Partners, investing in the next generation of renewable energy companies. Companies like Green Mountain Energy, which she started, which turned into the largest renewable utility in the country, powering the Empire State Building. And she went on to lead Global Green, an incredible environmental organization. Now, she founded Flourish Trust and is the board chairwoman of the Unreasonable Group. She's not only an expert, but a dear friend of mine and the Summit community. Please join me in welcoming Christiana Musk.
Oh, hello, my Summit family. So good to see you guys. Welcome to Baja. So as a longtime Summit community member, I just want to take a moment to shout out to Summit Impact and Nick Kisslinger. It is, of all the incredible work that Summit Impact does all over the world. As you guys have seen who've been a part of the community, they get exposure to some of the most exciting and groundbreaking emerging projects all over the world, and they can feature anything on the Summit stage. And Nick chose to feature a project right here on the ground in Baja, where we are. And it's a project in its nascent form, and invite the stakeholders on the ground in the community who are doing the work and doing that leadership. And I just want to take a moment of applause to say thank you for focusing on this place and what we need. So thank you, Nick. So, Nick shared a little bit about my background. I worked and lived all over the world working on these sustainability projects. So what am I doing here talking about an estuary in Baja? I came here 10 years ago. My husband and I were invited down here by a young man named Pablo Sanchez Navarro, who had a big vision and a dream. He built this little hotel on the marina for artists. It was like a pirate ship, like a flag in the ground, like we're gonna do something different, we're gonna build a vision. And he really envisioned this little marina, this little beach being a portal for the cultural renaissance and for a blueprint for sustainable development. And he was able to lure so many amazing thinkers and leaders and artists and creative into this little hotel on the marina. And I came as a +1 for a party 2 weeks into starting to date my husband. And sadly, a few years ago, we lost Pablo at only 35 years old. And so we stopped coming down here. We were devastated by his loss and had kind of moved on from spending time here because the vision that we were a part of seemed like it was no longer going to be. And in 2019, at Summit Series Los Angeles, in the back area by the Haven, for any of you who remember that area, I met Santiago Sanchez Navarro, who told me that after losing his brother, he was going to leave his tech career in Mexico City and move here to Baja to help build his brother's legacy and to commit to that. And so we came back down here. And during the pandemic, which hit shortly thereafter, this place became a safe haven for us. And it welcomed us, and it became a place of community. And we decided to move here part-time and to build a home. And we did this so that we could be an intimate part of regenerative placemaking. Because all regeneration in the world, when we look at what we need to revive, what we want to create, all regeneration begins on the very land on which we stand. And the more beautiful world that we want for our children and our grandchildren, it always begins right now. And so it begins too with the hands and the hearts of the community who hold that place dear to their hearts. And the people, the land, the watersheds, the oceans of Los Cabos area have welcomed over 4 million tourists this year alone, and 200,000 residents of Los Cabos. And that can be, as many of you have seen in other parts of Mexico and other parts of the world, that can be very extractive. That can be very depleting to the resources of that local area. But there's also this opportunity that all of us, when we live in a place, but also when we visit a place, how can we come and every time we arrive there, make that place better? And contribute to every time you come that the land, the ocean lives, the community here are really thriving. And that you can feel pride that you help make this place better. And that's the kind of blueprint that we want for this regional sustainable development plan. And not just for our little peninsula, but also for our world. So it's also gorgeous, and every morning I look out and see the whales. How many of you guys seen whales yet here today? Yes. Ironically, whales were my gateway creature to becoming an environmentalist. Started with the whales, then the ocean, then the planet, and it's just, be careful, whales are gateway creatures. But I hope that you fall in love with this place. And so I want to introduce you to some of the incredible stakeholders. If you guys could come out on the stage. And then Yes. When you come out here, then I'll introduce you. Hi. Here, come take a seat. Come take a seat. Hey. So first, we are so lucky to have with us Cristian Agúndez Gómez, the mayor of Los Cabos. Such an honor. So Cristian leads with a focus on collaboration, on citizen engagement and sustainable development. He actually is an architect by training, but he has extensive experience in both municipal planning of infrastructure, working through water issues, working on public health issues, and also transparency in government. And so he really brings a lot to this conversation in his life experience. And we're also fortunate to have with us the visionary leader, Leticia Gutierrez Lorandi, who serves as, yes, go ahead, yes. So she serves as the executive director and vice president for Conservation International Mexico. And she leads transformative efforts to protect biodiversity and advance sustainable practices nationwide. She brings over 20 years of experience across sectors, and she's a recognized leader in climate action, circular economy, and environmental resilience. For those of you who aren't familiar with Conservation International, they work in over 100 countries to protect over 1.5 billion acres of land and ocean to stabilize our climate, to increase ocean protection, and to expand nature-positive economies. Santiago Sanchez Navarro. Yay. So Santiago is a next-generation business leader locally, and he really represents to me the kind of leader that our world needs right now. He pours his heart and soul into serving his community, and it's an honor to be his neighbor, friend, and champion. He's the executive chairman of Puerto Los Cabos, which is the area that we are in now, including Hotel El Ganzo and Kundavi, where he leads projects integrating culture, innovation, and regenerative practices. He's a former tech entrepreneur turned impact-driven leader. He transformed El Ganzo, which all of you guys will experience if you haven't yet, into Mexico's first B Corp certified hotel. And he also is an investor in the kind of cutting-edge solutions to address global challenges like biological-based climate change solutions, as well as networks of artisans across Mexico to help their artisanal work to sustain their culture and help them reach global markets. So one more round of applause for everybody, because bios are long. So I really want to turn towards our guests today and ask them, we have this beautiful picture of our estuary. We're here to talk about this heart, the watershed of our community and why it matters. Mayor Agúndez, why does this matter to the local people? What is the history of the estuary? What does it mean to the people here? And what are some of the challenges that are being faced?
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Cristiana. And thank you all for visiting us this day. Thank you, everyone. Santiago, it's always a pleasure to see you again. This is a really, really magical place. The estuary has a lot of history, and we have a lot of family histories here. My grandfather, he used to take some baths over here. He used to fish, and a lot of families from Los Cabos had nice and good meetings and reunions over there. But, you know, with the city, how it's becoming too many people living here from a lot of states. We have one opportunity for everyone, but this is our fault. We have a lot of areas to give opportunities, job opportunities, and this increase for people living here, this is one problem that we have. So that close to the history, we have a sewage plant treatment. And this is one of our issues, of our problems. And we're trying to get better, to get some projects to heal a little bit from the history. This is this is a Ramsar zone. This is something like internationally. We have a lot of eyes watching us. And we're really worried about it. This is really the best place for our people, for our families living here. And we're trying to get better. This is, for us, the reason that we have water in Los Cabos. And if we don't have water, we have nothing. We don't have development. We don't have tourism. We have nothing. So we are really worried about it. And the government, the federal government, the state, here, the local government, everyone, we're trying to join a unique effort to get this place like we had it in, I think, 20 or 30 years ago. So I really, really grateful, and we are really, really grateful to Santiago. He has, he's going to talk in a little few minutes, but as he is doing, a lot of people is trying to get these projects and give to Los Cabos another chance. Thank you, Cristiana, and welcome everybody to Los Cabos.
Yeah, thank you. So someone somewhere has a clicker, and we have some slides. I don't know if those are going to come up, but in preparing for this, the mayor's office sent me some slides. Maybe I don't know if only here everyone can see it, but of a painting from the 1700s. So the locals that were here, the Perico Indians, they called the land Añuiti, which means the land between the reeds. This estuary, it's a wetland, it's an oasis, right? So we look around and we see a desert, but how it's meant to be is this really rich, grassy wetland. And it's actually, they were telling me stories, his office was telling me stories of, like your grandparents' generation were able to catch crabs, blue crabs with their hands. It's a critical migratory point for, I think, over 290 species of birds on their way to South America. Like, this is the tip of the peninsula, the launching off point for these birds. And so when these waters dry up, this is no longer an oasis, it's a desert. I don't know if we want to show a couple more pictures. Maybe the next one, but I don't know if we got the cool one, but that's okay. I'll keep going because we're not going to match up to the images. I would love to hear from you, Leticia. You have such a unique perspective looking at issues not only facing Mexico, but I'd love you to speak about how these local issues really link to the urgency and the global situation that we're in. How are the two connected?
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much. We are delighted to being invited to this very interesting group of people that can amplify this message. And really, we celebrate in Conservation International that the opening session of the summit is being dedicated to this local important project. It really speaks to the fact that the group of people gathered here today are interested on giving back and understanding the site while you are all gathering. Thank you so much. At Conservation International, we act local, we think global. As we say, we have feet on the ground, feet on the mud, and our hearts in the sky. And wetlands are one of the most critical ecosystems for humanity. Food security depends on wetlands, water security, and those are one of the most threatened ecosystems. 80% of wetlands in the world are polluted. 80%. 80%. This is the case of the estuary at San Jose Los Cabos, that one of the main drivers of the degradation of the wetland is the sewage that is going into the untreated water. Wetlands are key for survivals of key bird species, as you were saying. This morning I took a walk all over the beach next to the estuary, and it's amazing, even with this state of degradation that the ecosystem is facing now, you can still see a lot of birds flying around. And many of those birds are in the route of the whole Pacific, that go from the southern part of America in the Pacific to the northern part. Those birds rely in these type of ecosystems, not only here in Los Cabos, but the other ecosystems where they migrate, where they come from, and where they go to really survive. So birds are messengers for us. Birds are messengers telling us the state of the ecosystems that we are or are not conserving. This is critical. The mayor said this is a Ramsar site where all international eyes are looking at the site because it's critical for that bird migration. And also wetlands and in general nature, and this is an argument we have been pushing a lot through Conservation International in international negotiations, is that we are living this climate crisis in which nature has a very key, important role to play, and we are not giving it that role. 30% of the solution to climate change is in nature, and nature is on the ground. Nature is local. Nature is with the people, right here at the estuary, at Los Cabos. So nature can bring 30% of the solution to the global climate crisis, and we have only 3% of the global funds invested in climate change going into nature. So that's the way it connects. It connects to global nature, to global biodiversity, to connectivity from the South Pole to the North Pole. And if we lose that, we lose life. As we say at Conservation International, nature really doesn't need people. It's us who need nature.
Yeah, thank you so much. So even a little estuary like ours matters on the global stage. Yeah, thank you. Santiago, you are a local leader in hospitality. You're bringing people here. You want them to come and enjoy. Why does this estuary matter to you? Why do you care, basically? And also, you're very close because your land surrounds the estuary. Like, what are you seeing on the ground are the big challenges that the estuary is facing?
Yes. Well, I think, first of all, when I first landed in this area, the most visible aspect of nature is the estuary. And the estuary to me is the purest manifestation of life. You can see it. You can see it you can just see it every morning. You can see it every afternoon. And if you take walks, it has different chapters throughout the day. There's 294 species of birds that it's its vital habitat to. So its ecological value is immense. Not only for that, but also, as the mayor was saying, for the aquifer. It protects it from the saline water, so it keeps it in balance, right? It cools the ecosystem, and the aspect of water, right? There's a reason why there's a settlement here, and that is the estuary. Back in the days in the trade routes, boats, ships that would go to the Asia would stop here and recharge for water. They would drink the water from the estuary, and now today the water is far from drinkable. So the estuary is sick, and there are many things, right? I mean, I could talk a lot about the different things that are affecting it, but there's, we've got problems with invasive species. There's this. It actually looks really pretty, but that water lily that grows on the lagoon, that deprives the water.
Maybe we could have the clicker up here if it possible.
Yeah. So that deprives of oxygen the fish that are underneath and the life that is brewing down there. So it actually is killing it. And that water lily is a byproduct in part because of the sewage that the water treatment plants that were set here for tourism are, pouring into the estuary. Then, there's wildfires, right, that have to do, among many things with climate change, and there's erosion, right? And so there's all these different things that are affecting the estuary, and there's the good thing is that the problem is solvable. It's a rather simple technical problem to solve it. It's not complicated. It's more of a social and cultural challenge that we have in front of us, but we can definitely solve for that. It's also at the heart of the city, right? So it's very visible to anyone. We're seeing some images here of what it can be. It's not what it is.
Trying to find what it is, but I didn't
or
put
what
this back together.
What it was, right?
it was.
And hopefully it'll be again.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think for a region that is growing as much as this one, this reflects our relationship to nature in growth.
Yeah.
Right. So if we can't have this thing that's at the heart of the city, thriving and alive and being a source of happiness and joy for all of the community, then how are we supposed to continue to grow here? Which we're going to grow regardless. There's no way of stopping the economic forces behind that growth, right? So I think this project presents an opportunity to develop environmental culture and generate resilience as a community, as both a social community and a local community, government and business, to show that we can do this and to get together and act. And then hopefully that will prepare us for a lot more challenges that I'm sure will come and that we already have. So
Yeah, thank you.
And also you mentioned a very important piece of it, which is I'm also when I do this is a spiritual venture for me as well, because of my brother Pablo. When he first came here, he envisioned a different way of developing, and he was very disruptive, and he showed me that things can be looked at differently. And for me, going down this path is an honor, and it's really his foundation and his capital that has helped me along the way, amongst other. But so for me, it's a very special project.
Yeah, thank you, Santi. And Mayor Agúndez, in your wildest dreams, in your imagination for your grandchildren, what is your vision for the estuary, for the community?
Well, the estuary means a lot for everyone. Here in Los Cabos, not only our children, not only our family, the tourism is always willing to take a little ride over the estuary. And we have in the future the picture that we have a clean estuary. We are trying to get these three aspects of the society, where we are society, government, business people, associations, and everyone join to the future of the estuary. I think we're going to win this fight. So we're trying to live to our children the best that we can. We're trying to get a lot of team to get this region, this site, a better place. We have a lot of projects. One of the first one is this change of location for the water treatment place to get another location. We are talking with the federal functionaries, and we're trying to get this sewage water plant treatment to another location. This is one of the first steps that we have to do. And in the second chance, we are going to these renders and these pictures that you were showing to our friends. I guess we're going to do it maybe, I hope so, in 1 year, 2 years, I don't know. But our dreams, we have a really, really nice ecological place, ecological park in that area. And we hope to leave to our children a better place to live. This is what we think. Thank you.
Beautiful, thank you. Leticia, I'm wondering, because this is a complex project, right? And it's hard to catalyze. You've got the needs for the government actors. You have the needs for the, hospitality industry. You have people that come and go. They're very transitional. You have, key unlocks that need to happen. And there's also this belief that needs to be challenged, right? Where people think it's either or. It's either we have economic prosperity or we have, it's like ecology versus humanity, ecology versus technology, right? What have you learned about ecological conservation through economic prosperity? What's the promise of that?
So at Conservation International, we were born with a very simple promise, which is if we don't work with people and for people to conserve nature, that it won't be sustainable. We cannot think really about nature as a pristine place where nobody lives, because there are not such places in the planet anymore, maybe remote places in the Arctic. But in the case in particular in Mexico, where 2/3 of forests, for instance, are owned by ejidos and communities, then you have to conserve and you have to implement projects together with people. Together with people and for people. And putting nature at the center and putting people at the center makes a shared vision around the value of nature. And let me tell you, in the future, nature will be even more valuable because we are destroying nature. And as the scarcity of natural assets in the future, if we don't make that, we don't revert that tendency, nature will be more valuable in the future. So we need to start investing in nature for us to really get the benefits of it. At Conservation International, we understand the value of nature. We work together with different stakeholders, and something that we have learned in complex projects, such as this one, is that if we manage to put forward as a shared vision for all the stakeholders that are working around the ecosystem, then it will be a successful project. It doesn't need to be competing interests. If we share a vision in which children can play, can swim in the estuary, fishermen, fisherwomen can take out crabs, but also we can create jobs through the regeneration of the ecosystems. We can create jobs around tourism, ecotourism, and the shared prosperity, thinking about who will benefit with that regeneration of the estuary, who, how, and when will benefit around that restoration of the estuary. And something that we have very, very clear at Conservation International also is that we need to start restoring more places, not only conserving, and that is difficult, it is expensive, and it takes time. So we do acknowledge that philanthropy is not the way. Conservation International works very, very closely with different investment capital vehicles, with different types of financial mechanisms to really amplify and catalyze what is needed to go fast, to have impact, and in the future, share equitably with all the stakeholders those benefits that nature has to bring to all of the people.
Beautiful. Well, Santi, I'm wondering, as you're envisioning the development of this region, how can housing communities, hotels, restaurants, how can they be a part of regeneration? I mean, the estuary, also the oceans, of the land, of this whole place.
Yes. Well, I mean, the way we've approached this thus far is with the Hotel El Ganso, right? That's why we turned it into a B Corp, was to learn how we could become a positive actor in the ecosystem. So we try to analyze our impact from a cultural perspective, from an environmental perspective, from a social perspective, and economic perspective. And we believe that if we look at ourselves as an organism in the broader ecosystem, and we are sure, and we're sure we're being net positive, then it's good, right? We're always going to have a negative impact. That's undeniable, right? But can the positive impact be more than the negative impact that is happening? So, you know, I think as developers, as a community of developers, we have to start changing our ways. I think development is a complicated force because, you know, and really it's very, I would say, tough for the local community and the government, the speed of investment and the speed of growth that is driven by, you know, business pursuits.
Right, you have like a lot of foreign investors coming in, right, that are not connected to this place. They don't live here. They have big, you know, private equity portfolios. They're moving people in from the mainland to build as fast as possible. So they're not necessarily coming from a love of this place and a protection of this place. They're just seeing the opportunity, right?
Totally. And I think, you know, for me, moving here, which I moved full-time 6 years ago, really changed my perspective. When I was looking at it from afar, and I came here every couple of months, I would spend more than a week here, but really moving here and feeling the pains of the growth that is happening to the city was a big game changer. And so I think, you know, for the developers that are not here, for the companies that are not living here, but that have businesses here, we should be showing them more the impact that development is having. I don't think they are necessarily realizing the negative impact of this rapid growth, right? And this is, you know, a lot of this is...
Especially in like tourist sites, you don't want people to see your dirty laundry. You don't want to be like, oh, don't look at the sewage plant over there. Look how pretty it is over here. Look at the whales.
Yeah, and you know, and there's only so much that the government can do, right? I think, you know, Christian's leadership and also his intent to really transform the way things are being done here is a breath of fresh air, and really congratulations for all of that. And we found someone that we can work with as well as a government, and now, you know, bring this to the business community, show them what's happening, and start, you know, planning and laying out, I would say, playbooks on how to do it correctly that are rooted here in the issues that we're facing and communicating them.
You know, speaking of playbooks, Leticia, you look at projects all over Mexico, and obviously you have insight into your projects across the world. Are there any inspirational beacons of hope that you might share with us? And I might ask that after Leticia talks, if we can play that video for whoever's cueing the video. But I would love to hear examples that we can look towards.
If I would get to choose one story, I would share with you, we have a beautiful project. We are restoring part of the coast at Isla Arena Campeche, that's in the southeastern part of Mexico, very close to the Caribbean, where the Caribbean meets the Gulf of Mexico. And we started a process of restoring the mangrove there, but our baseline was a divided community. Lots of conflicts, people fighting around resources and different views, different interests around how should that mangrove be restored or even not restored, but that part of the land developed. There were losses around fisheries, octopus. They were not able to fish anymore octopus and other species that they were part of their livelihoods. And what we did is we brought together people, because we truly, truly believe that ecological restoration, is a breath of fresh air, and really congratulations for all of that. And I think, you know, for the developers that are not here for the companies that are not living here, but that have businesses here, we should be showing them more the impact that development is having. I don't think they are necessarily realizing the negative impact that this place has. So relies on socio-ecological restoration. It's much more a series of social decisions, agreements, and governance. So what we did is we put together the community. We hosted a group of women, mujeres restauradoras, that brought together the community. We put science at the center. You know, we are a science-based organization. We did a forensic ecology study to get samples of sediments to understand which was the most cost-effective restoration actions that we should do. We opened the canals to redistribute and reopen the fluxes of nutrients. And what we see now after 1 year is that flamingos are coming back. Flamingos are coming back. That's the indicator, and we were sharing this story in this morning, no? If we start doing those restoration activities in the estuary and people at San Jose de los Cabos can see the crabs coming back, the shrimp, more birds, etc., then that was the moment when the flamingos come back and they came back and start putting their eggs. People were like, oh, this works. And it was 1 year after the restoration process.
That's amazing. That's called an indicator species, right? So
it's an indicator species.
Yeah, it's telling you the health of the ecosystem. And what's amazing from that story is how quickly it can happen. How do you get people who disagree on like what to do together? Because it feels like the people problem might be harder than the flamingo problem.
Yeah, we put nature at the center. So we go back and we envision, okay, what did you lose? What do you want to see for your children? Do you want to keep swimming around the mangroves and fishing octopuses and living for and from the mangrove and not migrating to Cancun to clean hotel rooms, right? So we put nature at the center, and that's the beauty about nature, that it brings down walls on political disagreement, social disagreement, because who doesn't want to preserve nature?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I wonder, speaking of beautiful, while we're talking about the vision, I wonder if we have that video to play. Let's see. Okay, so that's that's not what it looks like now. That's the vision, but it was funny because we were doing this panel and there was just a local film festival, right? And so somebody in the community animated that, right? So tell me, who did that?
Yeah, local animators, and also it was directed by, I think you might know some of the people because I was speaking with them and they know you, that worked on this project, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing. We actually for the film festival, of which I'm a part of, I'm on the board of it, and we're also a venue for it. Crania and Ganso and Puerto Los Cabos. We did not suggest that. That was suggested to us by the local community that wanted to participate in the film festival.
That's amazing.
And they came up with that beautiful trailer. And what I love the most about it is how it ends. And you can see 2 children in the estuary.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so towards, if that's the vision, Mayor, I wonder, ¿cómo hacemos? ¿Cómo lo hacemos? What are the keys? How do we do it?
Gracias. Call me Christian. Well, we have to join forces. I have to speak as an authority here. And you know, one problem that we have had a lot of years ago as public administration is something like everyone called corruption. And we have to take this corruption very, very far away. We have trying to make another kind of government. We're trying to make everything at the eyes of everyone. And what we are going to do is trying to take this transparency in the public money administration. And we're trying to get these projects from the Federation. We're trying to visit some of our local friends either. And thank you for everything, Santiago. And we're trying to get these technical visions that we need to get and to evolve in these projects. We have a lot of issues here in the history, and we have a lot of opportunity to get this better. We have, as you told us a few minutes ago, we have this tourism, watching bird tourism. We have a lot of species in danger, extinction. We also had a little turtle. I don't know if we had already, but we have to change this future that we were getting this in the as a school back, trying to get this problem, a lot of problems, I guess. But I think this is the point of time that we have to make this change. If everything and everyone could join us in this fight for our history, I think we are going to do very, very nice help for this place. I was yesterday, I'm going to tell a story. I have had meetings with a lot of people here, businessmen, actually, and everyone is trying to do something for the history. Well, yesterday I had a meeting. It was something like a cocktail, a party, and I had this friend in front of me, and he said, well, I was talking with somebody called, we're going to call him Julian, and he said that he's going to help you to make a good government. But this is not for me, this is for all people. And what do you need? He told me, and he asked me, okay, well, what we need is 700 million pesos. Do you have it? And to change the sewage treatment in another location. But even if we do this action to heal this place, this site, we have to do a lot of actions. Either these projects, ecological projects, could change in a good vision for the history regeneration, and what we are going to do is join ideas, join people, join efforts, and at the last, we are going to leave this really nice place for our children, for tourism, for all people. I guess it's worth it. Fight for the history.
Thank you so much. Leticia, we have an audience of creatives, innovators, entrepreneurs, investors, philanthropists, artists, technologists. Like, there's just such a robust variety of people in this audience. Do you have ideas of how people can contribute? Like, what are ways in which even tourists can contribute when they come to a place in Mexico?
Well, the first contribution is being here, listening to us. I would invite you to amplify the message, the importance of, you can think about a small estuary at Los Cabos, but really amplifying the message of the global importance of ecosystems like this. That is the first thing. All of you have a strong voice in your communities, and really storytelling and pitching the idea that nature should be at the heart of every political, financial decision. It is super important. We shouldn't undermine the importance of conveying strong messages and great storytelling. And I believe many of the people that are here are great storytellers and really influencers in your communities, because normally us environmentalists, we talk to each other.
Especially you scientists, you know?
We talk to each other, no? We talk the biologists with the ecologists. Well, this is something great about Conservation International, that we are in the frontier of sitting in different tables, differently from other organizations. But that is a great contribution. The other thing is organize. This is also you are doing around the summit. Organize, share ideas, connect. That is part of the social capital we need to really communicate, connect, and think about reciprocity. When you go to a place, you get something from the place, but that reciprocity of giving back, it's super important. And of course, join us. We are just having initial conversations on how we will collaborate, and this is the seed of this whole strategy to regenerate the estuary. We will come back with more news on how to actually contribute to capitalize the fund we need to get this into speed. The mayor is in office for 3 years, so we need to only 3 years. So we need to really, yes, it's a race. Yeah. We need, as our CEO, Dr. Sanjan, keeps telling us, speed, impact, because 2030, we have these global goals on climate mitigation, bringing back nature. 2030 is just around the corner.
Yeah, and also with biodiversity loss, when you lose species, they don't come back.
They don't come back.
They don't come back.
But nature is very generous.
Yeah.
Nature is very... If we have still lost some species, nature is very generous. So it's time. It's now. We need to speed up and yes, join us. Thank you so much for listening and to having us here tonight.
Thank you, Leticia. Yeah. Santi, what do you think are what can the audience do? What kind of help is needed? And what needs to be done so that when we're back at the next summit, we can announce all the amazing things that Summit Magic helped us create?
Okay, well, I think for this audience, you were mentioning how there's innovators, disruptors, artists, conservationists here. So if anybody here thinks they can help, please come talk to us. We'd love to.
It's lonely.
Yeah. But I mean I think there are technical projects and those are very important, and obviously those will be done with the help of the government in conjunction with the private sector, and there are plans in place to make that happen, right? But I also think this is also a cultural project, right? So if anybody here, the artists, the people that are good communicators, if you feel compelled to be a part of it, that would also be great. I mean, we're definitely going to be working with the local community, building a lot of regenerative culture through the execution of a lot of these things that are going to be happening. So I think that is something interesting, and I think, if we do this correctly in that holistic approach where we're not only solving technical issues for this, but we're creating a resilient fabric for challenges of the future and growth challenges and climate challenges. You know, we're going to be a lot more ready. You know, and I think ultimately, you know, the world needs stories like this, right? And the world needs us, right? People like us to work on this. So
yeah, thank you, Santi. Yeah. So we'll be honest with you guys. The truth is today is the first day that we announce our respective dedication to restoring the estuary. We're still figuring out exactly how all the different actors all work together. This is a seed that we're planting here, and that Summit has given us the opportunity to plant today. I know without a doubt that there's somebody in this room, one person, who holds a piece of the puzzle that can help us really bring this ecosystem into flourishing. If you think I was a +1 to a party 10 years ago down here, and now you know, me and my husband and our foundation, Flourish Trust, is committed to contributing here to make this ecosystem a better place, the community and the livelihoods. There's one person here in this room that has something really beautiful to bring, and I can't wait to meet that one person. And I believe there's more than one in the room. You know, the project is estimated right now to take the initial phase at about 5 years and about $10 million. And so that's not small, and it's going to require all of us working together to be able to pull together just the funding and the will, right? The will of all the different stakeholders to engage. And so far, the seed funding has come from Santiago and his family. And this year alone, they've put about $300,000 into it. And so we wanted to announce from Flourish Trust that we'd like to join you in the seed funding for this project and launch it today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. And while I would never fundraise from the Summit stage ever, because that's just a super tacky thing to do, there will be a meetup afterwards where people can talk to us if they love to also put dollars to work in regeneration, because we would just be meeting each other and talking about that and never fundraising. But also, if there's a few people in the audience, if you can stand up, if you are working on this project, if you live here in this community, and if you care about it, you know, we get talking heads get lots of, you know, like attention, but there's actually people here working on the ground that live here. Can you guys stand up? If there's Arun, Valeria, Moise, Violeto, yes. So everybody there is even much closer to this on the ground than we are. I can't even see all these beautiful faces in the light, but please, like, these are our local heroes and celebrities. Come talk to all of them. Meet us at the meetup that's going to happen right after this, and we would love to just tap your mind, share your innovation, your creativity, your beauty, and anything you have to offer. So thank you so much, all of you, for coming here today. Oh yeah, thank you. All right.